Hello everybody and welcome to a video here on the Heezy Game Media YouTube channel. I'm Heezy, and today we're going to talk about 5 things that bring me cheer this season in all of nerddom. Before we get into that today, I just want to mention our Patreon at patreon.com/HeezyGameMedia. If you enjoy this content, if you want to support this channel, head on over there. I plan on making updates to that at the beginning of the new year, so you're welcome to wait till then. I do want to mention that I did just lose my job, and I'm looking to maybe make content full-time. So head on over to patreon.com/HeezyGameMedia, support this, support Smash Through, support everything that we do on the Heezy Game Media LLC, right there at patreon.com/HeezyGameMedia. And then if you don't want to support that way, if you can just like and comment on this video, tell me the 5 things that bring you joy in all of nerddom this holiday season. So before we get into this, I want to say that this list is not like in any specific order. These are just 5 things that kind of bring me cheer. And I think that it's important when we think about the holidays and how many people might be feeling that we try to bring a little bit of joy. And so these are just 5 things that are constantly bringing me joy in my life, not just during the holiday season, but just overall. Number 1 that I want to talk about is My Hero Academia. My Hero shot up my anime power rankings immediately. I've never identified with a character like I identify with Deku, and it's really fun to watch. I have friends that talk to me about every episode. Co-host of my Magic the Gathering podcast, Mason Clark, talks to me every week. There are people that come to me when it comes to whether or not they think they should watch it because they know how I feel about it, if they should let their kids watch it, stuff like that. My Hero is really close to me. I've seen every episode up until this season at least 3 times. The way that I usually watch it is that I watch it subbed, then I watch it dubbed by myself, then I watch it dubbed with my wife. And it's I don't know, it's just something that brings me joy. It brings me emotions. It makes me ask questions. My Hero is one of those shows that to me really has a full breadth of the type of emotions that you can feel with a show. I love their Christmas episode. I love I think their filler is actually a really good filler. It's something that I think is really enjoyable and everybody should check out. If you are a parent with something that's maybe 10 years old or so, you could probably watch the whole thing. If your kid's a little bit younger, my son, for example, I would let him watch the first season. It kind of just depends on how much violence you want to allow. But overall, I just think that it's a show that you can watch with your kids. It's something that you can enjoy as an adult. It makes you ask questions. It is definitely one of the better animes coming out right now. And it really has hit its stride and goes into that upper echelon of all-time great shows. So it's definitely something that, every week since October, I've been really excited to watch the next episode of My Hero Academia. Number 2 for me is actually really simple. It's Magic the Gathering. If you don't know, you're watching this channel, you don't know, I actually produce 3 Magic the Gathering podcasts. I co-host one of them. I'm about to bring one of them back probably next year or maybe even this month. And Magic the Gathering hits really close to home to me. It's the thing that that has brought me joy the longest of maybe anything I've ever done, other than, to be honest, I've been playing Magic longer than I've been with my wife. They'd be the top 2, and I consume Magic different than a lot of people. The most popular format of Magic the Gathering is called Commander, formerly known as EDH, and that's not the way I play it. I have a pre-con Commander deck somewhere. I've built Commander decks in the past, but the way that I really enjoy it is just as a competitor. Going to tournaments that qualify me for bigger tournaments and playing cash prizes and making content for it. Those are the ways that I typically love this game, and it is, in my opinion, and I don't say this lightly, I think Magic the Gathering is the best game ever made. And when I think about things that bring me cheer and joy, it's pretty close to the top of the list. Magic the Gathering encompasses a lot of who I've become in this ability to try to improve at things and try to analyze things and self-reflect on things. And Magic helped me in a lot of ways through, mental struggles, through times where I was really struggling and I needed an outlet to compete and to, show what I could do and who I could be, Magic has offered that to me again and again and again. So there are very few things in my life that have given me as much happiness as Magic, and that really hasn't changed. The community can sometimes really, be negative, and to me, the core game and like the thing that I love, it hasn't gone away, and it is definitely up there on like the things that bring me cheer. So if you haven't checked out those podcasts, I highly recommend them. If you're getting into competitive Magic, that you've got constructed criticism and drafting archetypes for constructed and draft. And then if you're looking to get into it a little bit more inexpensive, I know that Common Knowledge is coming back this week, so check them out. And then Mythic Cash should be returning soon too, and that's all at constructedcriticism.com. But yeah, like just download Arena and try it on your phone, try it on your tablet. It really is one of the greater things in my life. Number 3 for me is Star Wars. Star Wars has brought me joy a lot. Star Wars has brought me pain. It's sometimes hard to deal with Star Wars. So it's really funny. I often say, we were just talking about Magic the Gathering, I often say the only people that hate the thing that they love more than Magic the Gathering fans is Star Wars fans. And the reason for that is just like, it feels impossible to make Star Wars fans happy. I'm not one of them. I love basically everything Star Wars. There's very little that I'm like, oh my gosh, I really hated that. The closest that I came to hating something Star Wars was, well, I'll say it this way: the new trilogy is disconnected. Having 3 different directors, having to tie them all together differently. I don't like them as a trilogy, but I like them all as individual movies. And I think that it's really easy to negatively consume Star Wars, to look for something that's not there. And that's not how I do it. The thing that brings me joy about Star Wars is that it lets me disconnect from reality. It lets me escape. And, there's whether it's playing the new Lego Star Wars, whether it's playing a new Star Wars video game, I consume so much Star Wars. My Audible account is basically Star Wars books and, young adult fantasy that I listen to with my wife when we go to bed. So that's like Harry Potter or Aragon and stuff. And then it's just Star Wars. I could pull out my Star Wars video game collection. Maybe I'll take a picture and put it into the video. But like, I love this franchise so much, and it constantly brings me joy. Right now, as I'm recording this, my son is downstairs watching the Lego Holiday Special for Star Wars. And it is something that I get to share with my kids. I get to share with my wife. I get to share with my parents. The first time I watched Star Wars, I watched it at my Uncle Ron's house with my cousin Caleb, who is no longer with us, and is a victim of suicide. But me and Caleb, we loved Star Wars. We watched together for years, and it didn't matter what was happening. That was something that we could always connect on. And that is true with my family today, just as much as it was then. There's not a moment where I can't watch a Star Wars movie and be happy, or if I can't watch the Clone Wars or Rebels or even, some of the old specials and not just enjoy myself. So Star Wars is just a really special place in my heart. And it's funny, I think that a lot of people who maybe haven't seen Star Wars are a little intimidated because, one, the fandom can be a little rough around the edges. But I think that if you don't go into it the expectations that people place on it, you always come out happy. And I think that there's very little in this world that has spanned so many generations of people and brought them as much joy as Star Wars has. And for me, like, watching the holiday special with Maxwell, or, finding opportunities all throughout the year, it brings me joy a lot. I know that the last few holiday seasons, there's been specials or TV shows on Disney Plus, and it's become part of the holiday season to watch those. So I really enjoy it. I encourage people, if you haven't watched it, maybe get in through some of the TV shows or something. But it's really fun. And it's kind of weird to recommend Star Wars to people, but I know that there are people who avoid it, but I think that it is worth it to eventually get into. Number 4 is a little more recent and honestly like a little bit more full circle for me. I mentioned Caleb earlier, my cousin, and one of the things that we really enjoyed doing together was playing Nintendo 64, whether it was at my parents' house or his parents' house when we were younger. And one of the games that we really enjoyed was Super Smash Brothers. We would play that game so much. And I had friends who had GameCubes, and eventually I played Melee with them. It was like one of those games that everybody could just play and have a good time. I remember the first time that Brawl was in my house. Somewhere after I got a Switch, there was a copy of Ultimate in my house. And one of the things that Smash Bros. Ultimate has done for me is really interesting, where it reminded me a lot of my love for Magic the Gathering. But it also, because of the Melee doc and some other things, I'll try to link the Melee doc in the show notes here on the video, but there's something about Smash Bros. That brought me joy over the last few years that almost nothing else has. From playing in my first tournaments to enjoying watching the other people's tournaments, it brings me together with my friends in really special ways. Even if they only play for short bursts, it is so cool to see the correlation between Magic the Gathering in itself, and it is easily now the game that I've put the most hours into outside of Magic the Gathering. And it's so cool that I think Smash does this really cool thing, unlike Magic the Gathering, where everyone knows what it is and everybody has played it. It's like Mario Kart in that way, where you're like, hey, like, do you want to throw in Smash Bros? And like play a game with anyone. They have a concept of like, oh yeah, I'm going to hit you till you fall off the stage. We'll throw items at each other or whatever. Obviously, I've gotten into the more competitive side because of the person that I am. But the way that I consume it now is, I have a podcast about it that I do monthly. That should be coming out. Another episode should be coming out this week. I have a training partner. I don't really know what to call it. And Matt Kling, who is one of my best friends in Magic and now in Smash. And it's something that I get to do with my son. He really gets into it. He'll play Smash with me for hours. And it's something that I can connect to that other things don't really bring me that kind of joy. It's one of those things that I can improve at constantly, but there's always something to be better at. But also something that at its bare bones, its bare essence, is just this thing that you can just throw in at a party and people enjoy it. Last Christmas, actually, I believe it was, I brought my Switch OLED, and all the grandkids just played Smash on my Switch OLED at my parents' house again and again and again. It was a ton of fun. It's something that anyone can enjoy at any age, and it really does bring people together, and I really appreciate that. And I think that's sometimes what we miss at this time of the year, that I think Smash does really well. Number 5, I would never have expected this to happen. We're talking about my third favorite game ever. We've talked about my 2 favorites in Magic the Gathering and Smash Bros. We talked about my favorite anime. We talked about my favorite film and cartoon franchise. We're going into another game. Number 5 is Valheim. I didn't know I liked survival games. I had no idea I liked them. And Valheim unlocked something for me that was really cool. It allowed me to have an escape that is not competitive, so that I can just relax, try something, build something, do something different. It's a much more relaxing type of thing, but also something that I get to play with my friends. Every time there's a Valheim server up with my friends, I'm happy to jump in it. Wes Singleton, former co-host of Ethan and I, played an inappropriate amount of this together. There's something really special about building this base with somebody and like going through this game. Like if all these games, like I've talked about how Magic the Gathering I compete in, instead of Smash Brothers I'm trying to compete in, and there were really fun multiplayer games too, but as far as like co-op multiplayer games, I don't think there's a game like Valheim. I don't. There is so much to do together. Different people can take different roles. People can do so much and the building is so good and so diverse and has so many opportunities to express yourself. And the game is beautiful, and even right now, I think if you download it right now, they'll have the Christmas trees. You can make a little Christmas base. Like, there's so much things in this game that have brought me joy. I've played way too much of it. I'll continue to play it. I know the Mistlands is about to drop. It's in public beta right now is the time they're recording. And Valheim, honestly, it is my escape. Like, when I have no idea what to do, it's between that and Red Dead Redemption for me. Like, those are the things that I go to. And I do it as an escape that brings me just such a vast amount of joy that I can have fun no matter what. I can de-stress. I am really grateful for this game. And it surprised me because the idea of it, like of a Minecraft RPG Viking world, did not sound appealing. But it's one of the best games I've ever played. That's it. Those are the 5 things to bring me cheer this season. Leave a comment. Let me know your 5. It doesn't have to be games. It doesn't have to be movies or franchises. Maybe it's something simple, right? Maybe it's a comic book. Maybe it's a book series. Maybe it's a board game. The things that bring you cheer throughout the year, and especially during this time, that can bring people together. Leave a comment. Let me know. I tried to make sure that all 5 of mine are things that I enjoy with other people, not just with myself, because I think a lot of what is important at this time of the year is to be with other people and to share in experiences. So that is going to do it for this week. Don't forget to check me out on Twitter at Spencer13H. You can follow this content at Heezy Game Media. You can follow the Need to Nerd podcast and the Constructive Criticism Network everywhere. Thank you so much. If you could comment, like, subscribe, help this out a lot. It would mean the world to me. I hope you guys all watching, every single one of you. I hope all of you have a fantastic holiday season. And I'll be back next week with another video here on the Heezy Game Media YouTube channel.